Hello and many thanks for joining us on the news and NTAi International. I am Abdul Malik Adio. First, the headlines. Joe Biden becomes president-elect of United States despite facing an incumbent president set on stopping vote count. Federal government is set to introduce robust agricultural mechanization program aimed at boosting national food production. Plus, Inspector General of Police Mohammed Adamu orders deployment of all legitimate force to protect lives and property of citizens. Well, thanks for staying tuned. Now, Democratic presidential candidate and former Vice President Joe Biden has been declared the winner of the 2020 U.S. election, defeating incumbent President Donald Trump in one of the most contentious elections in American history. Now, Joe Biden has surpassed former President Barack Obama's 2008 popular vote total, breaking the record for the most vote ever received by a U.S. presidential candidate in American history. Now, the first candidate to surpass 70 million votes, with a major win officially flipping the state of Pennsylvania Saturday morning. Joe Biden has now exceeded the threshold of 270 electoral college votes needed to secure the presidency. Now, Trump won the state by about 44,000 votes in 2016, but Joe Biden will be joined by his running mate Kamala Harris, who made history Saturday as the first black woman elected as Vice President of the United States of America, shattering barriers that have been kept by men, almost all of them white. Now, entrenched at the highest level of Americans' politics for more than 2 centuries. Now, the 56-year-old Californian senator, also the first person of South Asia descent elected to the vice presidency, represents multiculturalism that defines America but is largely absent from Washington's power center. In a swift reaction statement, Joe Biden said, I quote, "America, I'm honored that you have chosen me to lead our great country." Biden said in a statement that work ahead of U.S. will be hard, but I promise you this I will keep, be a precedent for all Americans, whether you voted or not. I will keep the faith that you have placed in me, end of quote. Now, Trump quickly responded to the announcement by accusing Joe Biden of falsely declaring himself the next president. In a statement, he said, and I quote, "We all know why Joe Biden is rushing to forcefully pose as the winner and why his media allies are trying so hard to help him. They do not want the truth to be exposed. The simple fact is this election is far from over," end of quote. Now, joining us to discourse on the happenings in U.S. is our Ibrahim Rabiu, the Executive Director, Civil Society, Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, and Head of Transparency International Nigeria, to speak on this latest development. It's a pleasure to have you join us on the news at 7.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon.
Yes, all right. Now, Joe Biden surpassed the 270 vote, getting 290 of the Electoral College vote. Now, what does this mean?
Well, this means that the candidate was fully endorsed and accepted by the American people, and they were really eager and desperate to see that they are able to cast their votes and have a change in the leadership of American government. And this really clearly demonstrates why they had to come and do this voting in mass. And it is one of the recent election that we have seen in American politics, to see this mass number of people coming out to cast their votes. So this really shows that your vote counts. They strongly believe that their vote can change And there are a lot of lessons that we should actually learn as Nigerians. That is to say that in Nigeria, we should also revive this culture of respecting the votes of Nigerians. Secondly, it is also a strong indication and learning lesson that institutions, state institutions, are not operated by an individual who is commanding or who is leading the country. So despite the fact that Trump is the sitting, president of America, he could not, manipulate the electoral process. He could not also ask the security or any government institutions to do the otherwise. So this is a good lesson. It shows that strong institutions are needed, for democracy to flourish. We need also the independent and responsible institutions to be able to consolidate democracy in Africa and Nigeria. And also, it is a big lesson for us, to see that unlike what we see in Africa, where election is completely marred by fraud, by all sorts of problems that can, bring in, credibility problem to it. In this case, there's no question of logistic problem, later arrival of materials. There's no question of vandalizing or destroying ballot boxes. There's no question of the fact that citizens will be afraid that when they go, their votes will be tampered with. This is really a good lesson that we should actually have in order to consolidate democracy in Nigeria and Africa by extension. So your votes can actually count. And this is exactly what we have seen. It's a big lesson. If you want to change any leadership, you don't need to engage in violence. You don't need to engage in any cantankerous campaign, but do campaign based on issue. Then you would now be able to see how you can mobilize votes, how you can mobilize people to support your ideal, but not really through the use of money or use of security agents or use of thuggery and other violence that is being applied in most of the countries in Africa. In America, that is not the case.
Indeed, a learning curve, and I like the fact that we're itemizing this right now. Now, Kamala Harris now becomes the first black woman now to be the vice president of America, and just as Joe Biden is the oldest president ever. This is quite historic, I must tell you. And but what does this portend for America and the world at large?
Well, I think this is really a good, development, because we have been in Nigeria, we have been fighting for gender mainstreaming and inclusion, and the marginalization of women in leadership position, in most of the African countries. This will open a window of opportunity for competent, qualified, decent women, to come and contest election without fear or favor, and that is a good lesson for also our political parties, to ensure affirmative action, to ensure total, mainstreaming of gender in their political parties and leadership position. And I hope that Nigeria will learn a lesson from this. There's nothing that is impossible for a woman to demonstrate her competence, to demonstrate her quality leadership if given the space. So therefore, I see this as an opportunity, global opportunity for women to come out and actually demonstrate their competency, demonstrate their leadership capability and ability and knowledge and skill in terms of governance and leadership. So I hope that this window of opportunity given to the women would open up a greater opportunity for women to be mainstream, to be given the chance to be able to participate in decision making in the country. And in particular, this election, being a woman of color, is also sent a very signal that America is actually reclaiming or restoring its glory and value, because in the last couple of years there has been some complaint of crisis of division between the different color of people in America. But this election signified the possibility to unify and restore the name of America,
Indeed.
which everybody knows of, in terms of tolerance, in terms of acceptance, in terms of bringing everybody together. And even in the speech that the president-elect delivered, he said, "Look, I was not elected only by the Democrats. Now, if I was elected by the Democrat now, I'm going to be the president of everybody. This is a great, inspirational statement, which means that, it is not just about the party that, or the supporters that just elected him, but it is about America, how America can be united, how America can actually, passion an agenda that will do that. And for us in Nigeria, and for me, as part of my mission, is to take advantage of this to see how we can reposition Nigeria, how Nigeria can benefit from this opportunity to benefit in terms of technology, in terms of science, in terms of governance, fighting insurgency, fighting corruption. This is the agenda which we would like to see how the new president-elect will help Nigeria to overcome its challenges, and we hope Nigerian officials will also take advantage of his openness to make sure that they push issues that can galvanize and bring about success in terms of trade, in terms of inequality, in terms of employment, industrialization, and really making Nigeria to be prosperous and unite Nigeria, as well as also ensure that Nigerian territorial integrity is protected. Yes. We hope this opportunity for Nigerian people, Nigerian officials, to take advantage of this man and this new leadership that will come to pushing out policy and programs that will benefit Nigeria.
Many thanks, Awal Ibrahim Musa Rafsanjani. We do appreciate your insight on the development in U.S. election. And thanks for coming on the news at 7.
Thank you very much.
All right. Now, moving on, Joe Biden has become a president-elect of the United States, as indicated earlier, and despite facing an incumbent president set on stopping the vote count and poisoning the electorate with bold-faced lies, and just as Kamala Harris becomes first black woman South Asian elected vice president, well, the story will be made available by Justin Bemwe much later. Now, back home in Nigeria, tanker loaded with petroleum motor spirit has exploded at a fueling station at Kara Bridge in Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, claiming 2 lives and causing gridlock in the area. Ingino John Adams reports that the emergency responders have been able to clear the road, giving way for free flow of traffic.
It has been a sad week for Lagosians. Just as they are trying to come to terms with the news of the fire that gutted Owando Depot in Apapa, another tragedy occurred Saturday morning. A tanker containing premium motor spirit fell and immediately went on fire, following the trail of spilled petrol. The driver and his assistant were burnt beyond recognition, while 28 vehicles that were parked close to the scene were affected. It was sad that rescue teams of the Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, and Lagos Fire Service were prevented from accessing the scene by hoodlums. The debris has been removed from the scene, and the road is now open. Meanwhile, the inferno that gutted Owando Tank Farm in Apapa since Thursday, 5th November, has finally been put out. This came after 48 hours operational fight by agencies concerned.
We put efforts all through the whole day. In the night, we came up with additional technology that had to attack the fire aerially. It was a serious operation so as to prevent other tanks from getting fire. So this effort yielded in containing it till this morning around 7:50.
No life was lost and no injury was recorded. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTAi News.
You're watching NTAi International News at 7. We'll now take a break. When we come back, there'll be more news, to stay tuned. Many thanks for staying tuned. Now, the federal government is set to introduce a robust agricultural mechanization program aimed at boosting national food production. Now, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says the $1.2 billion that will finance the program is captured in the 2021 budget. Musa Babaliu has the details.
Nigeria is ranked among the few countries with the least mechanized farming activities, below the United Nations standard. Investigation shows that the operational tractors in the country are not up to 100,000.
Tractors we require in this country to make our land very functional in terms of number is over 1 million tractors. But presently, I can tell you, hardly we can have serviceable tractors in this country that are up to 100,000.
To close the gap, the federal government is introducing mechanization support projects in partnership with the Brazilian government. Brazil, under its More Food program, is providing Nigeria with $1.2 billion. Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed appears before the House Committee on Finance to defend the proposed loan.
It's meant for government to borrow, to on-lend to tractor assembly plants, to on-lend to businesses that will set up processing centers at senatorial level as well as at local government levels.
It is designed to enable Nigeria acquire 10,000 units of tractors and 50,000 units of assorted implements and equipment for assembly in Nigeria.
The Nigerian government and Brazilian government agreed that it's in-kind loan, not cash. The in-kind equipment is leased out to the service center operator, who participates in deciding what type and size of equipment is fit for the services in his or her local government or their local government.
100,000 young entrepreneurs are to benefit from the project directly and 5 million indirectly. Musa Baba Aliyu, NTAi News.
Now, global COVID-19 infections near 5 million as a Cote d'Ivoire opposition leader faces arrest. Let's join Uche Ugochukwu for activities on the global scene.
As cases surge around Europe, France and Madrid tighten restrictions, while England and parts of Italy are adjusting to new lockdowns. Meanwhile, an immediate ban has been imposed on visitors from Denmark to Scotland over concerns about a new coronavirus strain that has spread from mammal to humans. In Asia, Japan and Malaysia reported new spikes in infections as China suspended visitors from 9 countries after a rise in imported COVID-19 cases. In the meantime, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration issued its first emergency use authorization for a blood test to detect an adaptive immune response to COVID-19. In Africa, an additional 3,476 confirmed cases puts the continent's tally at 1,869,555, with 44,732 deaths. And Nigeria, having recorded 223 new cases of COVID-19, now has 63,731 positive cases and 1,154 fatalities. Now, the world at 6 p.m. local time recorded 49,907,068 confirmed infections and 35,409,481 recoveries. To other news, Cote d'Ivoire opposition leader Pascal Nguessan has been arrested for announcing the creation of a parallel government after boycotting October's presidential election. Several opposition leaders face charges of terrorism and sedition after rejecting President Alassane Ouattara's re-election. And from Ethiopia comes the report that the parliament has voted to dissolve the government of the northern Tigray region amid a dispute which has escalated into armed conflict. In an emergency session, parliament declared the Tigray administration illegal and voted to replace it. Thanks for staying with us. I am Uche Ugochukwu.
Many thanks, Uche. Now, Lagos panel of inquiry on SARS and Lekki toll gate incident have been suspended till the 14th November 2020 due to issues involving member of the panel. Now, Jennifer Igwe was at the hearing this Saturday.
A full house faced with a nearly full but not complete panel. So all the cases scheduled for sitting, including presentation by the Nigerian Army on the Lekki toll gate incident, could not be heard. The reason, according to chairman of the panel, Justice Doris Okuobi, retired, is connected to the freezing of the account of one of the youths on the panel.
We're informed that she's one of those youths whose accounts have been frozen, and We do not know whether or not they will continue sitting with us or pull out of the panel. So in the present situation, we would not take on the proceedings this morning. We are compelled to adjourn the proceedings. We don't want a situation where proceedings go on and they are later impugned for lack of quorum. It is sad indeed because we brought so many people in this morning, but we have to take the proceedings in accordance with the law setting up the panel.
The youths on the panel are members of the NTAi protesters representing interests of the youths in the inquiry. Counsel to the NTAi protesters, Adesina Ogulano, speaks on their absence at the hearing.
People who are not just any other member of the panel, but protecting the special interest of the protesters are being sanctioned, and that is why they are not here. As it is a dent on this process.
Now, 9 members make up the Lagos State panel of inquiry on restitution for victims of SARS, other related abuses, including the Lekki toll gate incident. Now, part of the 9 includes 2 youths. Now, those young people play a vital part in the proceedings because at any point in time, at least one of them must be on the panel to form a quorum. Now, today, none of them was available, and the chairman of the panel says it is linked to the freezing of the account of Olorunrinu Oduola, one of the young people on the panel's account by the Central Bank of Nigeria. And because of everything that has happened, she adjourned hearing till the 14th of November. Hopefully by then, whatever issues there is would have been cleared. In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTAi News.
Now, having a country we all deserve can only be attained when all Nigerians work together in spite of existing differences. Now, Support Nigerian Initiative and its partners highlighted this and the need for attitudinal change at its Patriot Assembly with the team Building Nigeria Together. Aman Jabani report.
Support Nigeria Initiative came into being to work with government at all levels in addressing the issues of disunity, criminality, youth unemployment, rivalry among ethnic nationalities, religious discrimination and crisis, falling standard of education, and unwholesome corrupt practices. How does it plan to achieve all this? Collaborating to industrialize, educate, feed, sensitize, and reorientate Nigeria, and this maiden edition of Patriot Assembly is one of such drive.
In trying to build the nation, we feel that we should create a program, reorientate Nigeria, and under this program, we should have a forum, we should create an avenue where people will come together so that we can be talking to them, we can be talking to ourselves, we can be discussing, and in the process, changing our mindset.
Religious institutions have a role to play, directly or indirectly, in ensuring that our society is better off than it currently is.
The NGOs and the CBOs and faith-based organizations, all with the purpose of ensuring that where we cannot provide this education, they collaborate with us to do that.
The initiative, however, said youth engagement is the first and fastest way of addressing most of the social problems confronting the country, while commending the zeal of Buhari's administration at engaging youths through various social investment programs. Hamman Jabani, NTAi News.
The Inspector General of Police, IGP Muhammad Adamu, has ordered the deployment of all legitimate force to protect lives and property of citizens, including police officers and personnel of other law enforcement and families, and prevent the attack on private and public assets from any violent persons, groups operating under any guise. A statement by the force indicates the Commissioner of Police and the Supervising Assistant Inspector General of Police have been directed to resist the riotous element forthwith and checkmate any form of violent riotous protest in line with Section 33, subsection 1 and 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, as amended. The IGP explained that the force will not tolerate a repeat of erroneous attacks, killings and arson and wanton destruction and looting of public and private asset witnessed during the recent violent protest in some parts of the country. He wants that the force shall deploy the full weight of the law and legitimate force if necessary in preventing a reoccurrence. Now, and that's the news on NTAi International. Many thanks for watching. You can connect with Nigerian Television Authority and